Coming up on News 2, Governor Kenneth Mapp returns to the Public Finance Authority as the new chairman. Details on the first action taken, as well as an update on new appointees. The piles of seaweed and stagnant water that was a health concern for those in the nearby Ruby Rouse housing complex on St. Croix has been cleaned up. Plus, the latest Crimestoppers report and how you can help police with their investigation. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing, topping our newscast. Not even a month into the new administration, some major changes are happening in the structure of various government boards and agencies. From the Public Finance Authority to the Shaken Justice Department, new appointments, terminations, and resignations take center stage. News 2's April Knight has details.
Governor Kenneth Mapp is doing some major reshuffling in key government agencies. Apart from cabinet appointments, he's also reorganizing boards. The governor announced that he is appointing Valdemir Collins, his designee for Finance Commissioner, as Executive Director of the Public Finance Authority. The governor also assigned 7 new members to the West Indian Company Board, including his Chief of Staff, Randy Knight. Meanwhile, Hugo Hodge got booted out of the VINGN board. The governor replaced him with Elizabeth Armstrong, who will now become the WAPA board's representative in VINGN. Meanwhile, Governor Mapp also suffered from staff losses in the Justice Department, where a series of back-to-back resignations point to a system in turmoil. Douglas Sprott, who worked as a criminal prosecutor for 27 years in the DOJ, was suddenly moved to child support, a transfer that came as a shock and caused him to resign. Another criminal prosecutor, Hillary Crepusman, also resigned. This was after Wayne Anderson, also a criminal prosecutor at the DOJ, was fired last week. These come at the heels of a controversial resignation, that of former Attorney General designee Soraya Diasi-Kofeld. Last week, following that resignation, the governor announced that Terry Griffiths will be taking the helm temporarily as Attorney General. When a permanent AG is found, Griffiths will become Solicitor General. Terry Griffiths was Mapp's attorney when he sued the election system over the voting machines in November. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
Former VINGN board member Keith O'Neill, who is now the secretary for PFA, will be replaced by Jose Luis Garcia Serrano. Several government agencies have worked for the last 2 days to address a long-standing stench issue in the Watergut area on St. Croix. It's thanks to the efforts of 2 lawmakers, and residents in the area are grateful. News 2's Erica Parsons has that story.
Nolina Donaldson has been dealing with the stench in the Watergut area for years when there's stormy weather.
When the sea purges out, the water land right there, and the scent, man, it's really bad.
The guts overflow and become clogged with seaweed and other debris. Residents in the area have tried to get the problem fixed, and Senator Kenneth Gittens has been pushing for a resolution since last year.
We talked to many people, a lady go on the ear about it, but they don't come and do anything about it.
With the salt water here, meshing with our sewage system is creating, I believe, what is called hydrogen sulfide. And once that gets together and you start smelling it, it's not good for human consumption. Sometime last summer, I contacted a number of agencies and didn't get the response that I'm having right now.
Several agencies partnered over the last 2 days to clean up the gut.
We removed 2 bins full of the seaweed. Today we're just brushing it up, cleaning up the balance of it. We're now going from up top where the problems started to bring it all the way down.
We deposit the solubles into the water, and it takes only a few seconds and you'll see it starting to spread throughout the water. And it's for the treatment of mosquitoes. This area we have treated it many times before, but it's an excellent thing that they're doing, cleaning it so we can treat it better, so we can prevent chikungunya, dengue.
Public Works officials expect the work to be completed today, and part of their plan going forward is to clean the guts every other month.
Now with our new commissioner coming up with a comprehensive plan to help to elevate the problem, I think we should be better moving forward.
What we probably need to start doing as we clean up these areas as well is probably get the Department of Agriculture involved as well to see how they can best use the good parts of this seaweed.
For Miss Donaldson, she's grateful that she'll be able to breathe easier.
Thank you all very, very much for coming and clean it for me.
Erica Parsons, News 2.
Freshman Senator Kurt Violet also expressed his thanks to Public Works for their prompt response in cleaning up the Watergut gutter. His office had contacted the agency about the seaweed problem and was promised it would be resolved this week. In other news, District Court Judge Curtis Gomez today sentenced Tony Jefferson Brown, 31 years of age, of St. Thomas, to 372 months in prison and a lifetime of supervised release for coercion and enticement of a minor. Also 360 months in prison for production of child pornography. As you may remember, on March 4th, 2014, after a two-day trial in District Court on St. Thomas, the jury found Brown guilty of 12 counts involving 4 girls ranging from ages 12 to 17. Brown first made contact with the minor girls on Facebook, where he pretended to be a female, befriended them, and persuaded them to send him nude photos of themselves, and then threatened to place the photos on the internet if they did not comply. Crimestoppers representatives say thank you for making a difference in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Remember, your tips can make a difference. With that in mind, here's this week's Crimestoppers report. On St. Croix, police say on January 16, 2015, the territory recorded its first homicide for the new year. Around 5:05 p.m., police received a report of a shooting in the vicinity of 37F Estate Whim. When police arrived, they found 29-year-old Jose Hernandez of Marley Homes dead from multiple gunshot wounds. Witnesses said after the shooting was heard, they saw a vehicle leaving the area at a high rate of speed. On St. Thomas, officers say on December 25, 2014, at 3:30 a.m., a 52-year-old black male reported that while walking in the area of Wimelskulfsgata back street, he was shot in the leg by someone he could not see. If you witnessed this, please call Crimestoppers. Hopping over to St. John on January 2nd, about 11:20 p.m., officers were dispatched to the area of Estate Adrian in response to a burglary. The resident informed the officers that between 6:15 p.m. and 9:45 p.m., someone broke into their home through the bathroom door by jimmying the lock. A large sum of cash, bank cards, and an iPhone 4S in a purple case were all stolen. Call Crimestoppers at www.crimestoppersusvi.org. Log on there or call 1-800-222-8477. Remember, if your tip leads to an arrest or the recovery of stolen property, illegal drugs, or weapons, in addition to having made your home a safer place, you will receive a cash reward to be paid according to your instructions. Turn our attention overseas. The annual March for Life filled the streets of Washington as pro-life supporters descended on the Supreme Court. Pro-lifers are watching closely as a bill on abortion heads to the Senate. Mark Albert is in Washington, D.C. with that story.
Thousands marched through the nation's capital on the anniversary of the Supreme Court's Roe v. Wade decision.
It's wrong to take an innocent life. It's just murder.
Michael Williams came down from Rochester, New York with his church. Jamie LeGrand traveled here from Long Island.
I'm here because I'm pro-life from the core of my being.
Down the street, the GOP-controlled House took up a bill banning the use of federal money for abortions.
The yeas are 242 and the nays are 179.
House leaders scheduled a vote to coincide with the anniversary of the court's ruling and this annual anti-abortion rights march.
This is not a gift from the Republican Party to these people. This is a gift from our Creator himself.
So the whole thing is a hoax. It was just meant to feed the base.
Democrat Louise Slaughter objected to the bill and an earlier one the House was going to take up, banning most abortions after 20 weeks. But that bill was pulled Wednesday night after some GOP women protested, a surprise to Republican leaders.
Do you believe this was showboating?
Oh, it intended to be showboating, but it turned into a Titanic.
A Titanic, you believe,
failure.
For GOP leadership?
I do, yes, indeed.
The White House has threatened a veto on the bill that ultimately passed on a party line vote. Mark Albert for CBS News, Washington.
Meanwhile, keeping our eye on the economy, according to a company exec, General Motors has invested in more than 200 robots ahead of its 2016 Cadillac CT6 launch that's planned later this year. The robots can do advanced work like aluminum laser welding. It's part of $300 million spent to upgrade and automate manufacturing. Here's the New York Stock Exchange with our stock market watch. The Dow, Nasdaq, S&P all up. The Dow 259, Nasdaq 82, S&P 31. Coming up on News 2, local author and entrepreneur Yasin Hall talks about her journey untold, why she's back home in the VI, discussing the issues of mental illness in the territory. 4 Air National Guard soldiers returned to St. Croix Thursday from an overseas mission. The Guardsmen were deployed to Kuwait back in July as part of Operation Enduring Freedom. St. Croix welcomed Senior Airman Keithlin Bailey and Staff Sergeants Akil McFarlane and Anthony Harley back, as well as Tech Sergeant Sean Bartley from a successful deployment. The 4 are part of the 285th Civil Engineering Squadron. Local author Yasin Hall has decided to tackle the issue of mental illness head-on, as we reported on Wednesday, and she's increasingly drawing attention to her book. Hall wrote Journey Untold and presented it to various schools on St. Thomas to share her experiences while living with a family member suffering from mental illness and how the territory is dealing with the disease.
Back then, we kind of brushed it off as something's odd. Something's odd is happening. She's just being strange. It's the bottom of a totem pole. Nobody wants to have this label attached to them as being crazy, because there's still the stigma here. Mm-hmm. If you admit that you have a problem with somebody else, their first reaction is, oh, you're just being crazy, or you need to get over it, or let go and let God. But not every problem can be solved that way. Some problems you need to have medication, treatment, counseling. It needs more.
Senator Kurt Violet says he is concerned about the staffing of the school lunch program on the island of St. Croix. He says a large number of workers are per diem employees, paid 6.5 hours per day at minimum wage. They receive no sick leave or holiday pay, nor compensation during summer months, as they serve over 2,000 school children. He's calling on the Commissioner-designee, Dr. Sharon McCollum, and Governor Kenneth Mapp to designate the per diem employees as full-time with health insurance and retirement benefits. Count on 2 to keep you updated. Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett has announced that the University of the Virgin Islands will be among 13 historically black colleges and universities across the country to receive a combined $25 million grant award to develop a cybersecurity workforce pipeline consortium. The 13 HBCUs will each receive a portion of the funding as part of an initiative by the U.S. Department of Energy and the National Nuclear Security Administration's Minority Serving Institutions Partnerships Program, which aims to create a pipeline of talent from minority serving institutions to Department of Energy labs and production plants across the country. Plaskett said that she is pleased to see HBCUs considered in STEM investments. While the Peacemaker Gala is underway, the event aims to recognize individuals who, by their passion and care for others, demonstrate the essence of a peacemaker in our community. Now, this evening, Mr. Julian the Hawk Jackson and the Honorable Judge Carol and Mrs. Celia Carroll are being honored as the 2015 Peacemakers at 6 p.m. at the Prior Gillette Hall. It began earlier this evening at Antilles School, and we are recognizing them for their servitude and the influence that they have had in leading others to having a more meaningful life. Be sure to tune in to News 2 on Friday. We'll have some highlights. The St. Croix Seashell Society is inviting the public to the official opening gala for their first exhibit Friday evening at 6. The exhibit is on display at the Fort Frederick Museum and will be until May. Visitors can enjoy artwork, jewelry, crafts, and refreshments in addition to the seashell collection.
We would like to invite especially children, the Department of Education, to become involved in this venture. We can enjoy these shells as well as we can learn about their scientific aspects, and we can encourage children to become involved in the marine industry and in the careers in the marine area. We have more than 6 different cases filled with seashells from the Virgin Islands, from tropical waters, from Japan, and also from Africa.
Excellent exhibit there. Be sure to stick around. Your News2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.